All right, Mel, and we are live. So, Mel, we were just chatting about how offering finance to your client can absolutely change the cash flow and change the situation of your business.
Very, very true. And it's often something that we don't stop to think about. You know, the thing is, business owners, we're not banks, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We're not banks, but here's where a lot of business owners make a mistake is that they end up becoming a bank for their clients. They then have to spend money chasing that debt and bringing money that is owed to them. And, you know, I think, few businesses that offer finances to their clients, but there's a huge advantage for us as well. Before we get into that, let's introduce you. So, Mel Power, tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do.
Well, you know, seriously, I'd probably say I'm the queen of bookkeeping. I'm an accountant and a bookkeeper.
That's so underplayed, you know, like queen of bookkeeping, like so underplayed. So you actually own what you do.
So currently right now, I actually an educator and supporter and champion for bookkeepers and accountants all over the world. And it's really driven from a passion to serve small business. Obviously, I've had accounting practices and bookkeeping practices in the past. I've also worked for Xero Accounting Software as their global head of bookkeeping for 4 years. But, you know, I'm just really about helping people actually break free of the chains of living their life to someone else's plan and actually going and doing their own thing, being the master of their own destiny, creating their own business, and actually living a life that they love. That's what I'm all about. Yeah, I know you do.
That. I love that. I love that. And look, if you're joining us live today on any of the platforms we're streaming, please comment, say hello, let us know you're there. There's a couple members of my team. There's a couple members of my team that are across the different platforms that will be sharing your comments and questions with us so that we can answer them as well over the next half an hour or so. So if you're there, say good day, let us know that you're about and we'd love to engage with you. Mel, I love what you said because as you know, I've just finished writing my book, The Path to Freedom. And the really interesting thing is that growing up, I was a terrible reader. Like I didn't read.
Really? I can't imagine that, Barry.
Honestly, whenever we had one of those tests at school where you like had to read things and remember things right down, I failed. I didn't have the ability to read and remember what I was reading. There was some severe learning difficulties there.
Wow.
My spelling and grammar is terrible, and that's how you can tell whether it's me that's writing posts under my Facebook page or my team.
I'm going to watch for that now.
Yeah, mine are the ones that are full of spelling mistakes and grammar. And I remember one person once said to me, it takes someone incredibly intelligent to spell the same word multiple ways. So that's,
okay, I love that.
So that's how I fit in. But anyway, I wrote this book, started in January, exited the business in December last year, moved to Bali. Thought I learned to surf and write a book and write the last 18 years of my business experience and try to compile it into one book.
Amazing. Amazing.
And it was more the personal breakthrough, I think, than anything in the beginning of like facing all this stuff that I had around who I'd seen myself to be in the past.
Yeah.
But something more miraculous come out of that. And it was a further deepening of the passion that I have for helping business owners and entrepreneurs eradicate entrepreneurial poverty and create a life of financial freedom, fulfillment, and fun. And I think this is why we gel and bond so much, because
Absolutely.
we share a very similar ethos.
Yeah.
How did it start for you? Like, you're not the typical, no disrespect for those bookkeepers and accountants that are watching us today, but like, you're not the typical bookkeeper or accountant. So how did you transition from queen of bookkeeping to now running a phenomenal educational organization?
Well, you know, I think it probably starts right back to my journey as, you know, look, I'm a creative, I'm a musician, I'm a writer, I'm a creator. That's, you know, it's what I do. But I started out thinking that I would take, you know, my love of music to become a teacher because my parents said, Mel, you'll never make any money out of music. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should teach. And so I think, you know, I started that career, and I actually had a really funny experience with a first kindergarten class I actually taught. my little, protege did a number 2 in his pants. And I had to clean it up. And that ended my teaching career there and then. Like, can you believe it? I just literally walked out. Poor kid. And I ended up with 3 sons. So go figure. But, from there, I sort of went home and said, well, Dad, what am I going to do? And he said, look, you should just do accounting. I went, yeah, that sounds fun. And that's actually what I ended up doing. And I've had a really, really fun career helping small business owners understand their numbers. And I have such a love of developing systems because it's actually creative in a fun kind of way because you get to design something. But, so from that, I've had 2 different accounting and bookkeeping practices, but I've also had a motorcycle dealership. And that was where I really,
I could see you in leather with a Harley Davidson.
I've got a photo. I'll have to I'm going to post it in the group. Post this. No, I was all over KTMs. I was a little bit classier than Harleys. So that was where the guys in the shop said, "Oh, you'll never be able to sell bikes," and I'm like, "Nah." So we became the #1 dealership in Australia. Hey, KTM, fun ride. But I've also, had a licensed finance brokerage and IT business. So I've had a lot of different businesses over the past and some really successful. But I have to tell you, Barry, that entrepreneurial poverty thing, man, I've seen it. I've experienced both ends of the spectrum. But interestingly enough, coming out of the other side of that, I came back to, my love of accounting and started another bookkeeping business, which I grew to 120 clients and just on $1.2 million in a year. And that's when Xero said, hey, do you want to come work for us and teach other people how to do what you did? So my creativity and my education, all those life experiences of running businesses kind of have come together. And then obviously outside of Xero, I've decided to really deepen the education even further and go back to really helping small business owners succeed. And then, on top of that, I discovered digital marketing. I mean, so much fun. Like I went, what? I get to write and play on Facebook and do all this fun stuff. So it's been an evolution, but that's kind of how I've come to really stepping into this space of helping accounting, accountants and bookkeepers. Really live their best lives and use the gifts that they have within themselves to really empower other business owners to help them get to where they want to go.
God, there's so much that you've just shared there.
My life in 5 minutes.
there's so much. First of all, you're a badass. That's amazing. Motorcycle dealership, all the other businesses you've ran, which is awesome. You've got a zest for life, which has always been infectious, and I love being around that and hanging out with you. And then on top of all, there's a few things that you said. Oh, did you see that?
Oh,
mosquito.
That was a move then, Barry.
Yeah, that used to be Argy. Couple of things. Number one, I would love to know, out of everyone that's watching or listening to this now, either live or on the replay, how many of you have shared in that same trait that when someone tells you that you can't do something, it's like a red rag to a bull, and you're watch me. How many of you out there watching right now can relate to that? Just jump in the comments, let us know. That has been one of the key things, I think, to my success and bringing me to where I was. And actually, I acknowledge in a polite and rude way in my book, I acknowledge a previous employer that told me basically I'd never amount to anything. I couldn't communicate with people, et cetera, et cetera. And he gave me the greatest gift. He was a precipice.
Yes.
He was the key fundamental shift that went from being employed as a contractor to being out on my own.
Wow.
Telling me that stuff was and that was a common theme my whole life. And it sounds like the similarities there with you too, right?
Surfing and in Bali, serving people achieve their own, helping people achieve their own dreams. That's amazing.
Live their best life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something that makes entrepreneurs unique in that sense, is that to most of the world, they see that as an opportunity to be shut down or to conform. Entrepreneurs see it as an opportunity to innovate.
Yes.
To rise up, to step in, to face that adversity.
It is. It's like when the red flag is waved. It's like this innate part of yourself that rises up and just thinks, no, this just can't be the only solution. There's got to be something else, or what's over there. And I think there's this natural curiosity with just born in us drive.
Yeah.
But, and I want to touch on the self-identity thing here because, Barry, how passionate I am about this. Even though those things are actually inbuilt within us, when we start out on that entrepreneurial journey, it's like, we're this raw molding piece of just stuff. And, as we go along and we have these different experiences and we run these different businesses and we meet people and we learn from things, it's like we almost shed skin like a snake. And, and I know you and I have had so many conversations and messages where I've gone, hey, Barry, guess what I did this week? Seriously, you never stop evolving. And I'm not like the person I am right now here today, even a month ago, is not who I was.
It's huge.
And
huge change.
I know. And I've really embraced that now. And it feels uncomfortable at first when you have to be pushed in to do things that maybe you don't understand why you've got to do them. But you learn to like that feeling uncomfortable because the rewards out the other side are just, so great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's the process of self-discovery, learning who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the truth and at the fundamental core, I think, of what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the entrepreneurs. And like, please, if you're watching this right now, start a watch party.
Yes, watch party. Get on it.
Your network, your community needs to see and hear what we're about to talk about, because this is not the sexy stuff. And this is not the stuff that a lot of those perceived gurus are sharing. I remember 6 years ago, we built our first funnel and we tried to advertise mindset. And it was a flop. It was a huge disaster. The funny thing was, though, is it's what business owners needed and what they still need and what we helped them with, probably the most out of everything. Yet it wasn't what they thought they wanted. They wanted systems, they wanted funnels, they wanted ways to generate more leads. But the reality is I was seeing so many entrepreneurs that had the same type of businesses, and one was killing it and one was struggling to survive. They had the same strategy, the same ideas, yet one had the ability to execute it better and differently because of their beliefs, because of their thoughts, because of their upbringing, because of the way they leant into the situations that were being thrown at them. And like you said, like, you look to lean into these now.
Yep.
Right. And that's what allowed you to evolve so much just in the last month. Yeah. We had a conversation around you building out a different product offering, and I was like, hey, you should just do that. And you're like, okay. And a week later, you rang me up. You'd not only done it, but you'd sold it. You'd sold the first one into that offering, right? That's very different to someone's like, oh, let me think about that. I'm going to ask my family, my friends, and, it made commercial sense. There was a gap that you had. There was a gap in the marketplace. There's an opportunity to serve. Your clients were even asking you for it.
Yeah, they were. Seriously, they were. Yeah. It's self-belief. It's self-belief. And that 95% of everything that we do is made up from this. 5% is the execution and strategy, which is exactly what you just said, Barry. Why does one person do it better than the other? Because of this.
Why do so many avoid that though? Like, and I say so many, like, I'm in the category too, like, I haven't got to where I am today overnight. I've been in business for 18 years and I'm an overnight success 18 years in the making. And I reckon it's probably been the last 12 months I could deem myself as even partially successful, and I've still got a lot to learn. But why do you think we resist so much? Like, working on ourselves, working on our mindset? Is it that we don't know that's where we should be focusing, or is it something else?
I think because it feels uncomfortable and unnatural. I mean, I always think about, I never forget some of the early times when I was starting to do video and camera work, and I still struggle with video and camera. It's not my favorite thing to do. But even when you're posing for a photograph, the photographer might say, hey, do this. And it's the most unnatural thing and you feel so uncomfortable. But that analogy is kind of like when you're looking at yourself, you kind of have to put yourself in different poses. It feels unnatural, but the result that you get from that is exponential. So what happens is the more you do of it, the more you embrace the feeling of feeling uncomfortable, because you know that the end result of that is going to be amazing. Like photography, you get a beautiful photo that's going to serve you on your website for years to come.
Yeah.
When you do that with yourself, you're investing in something far more value than a photo for years and years to come. It's like compound interest, right? I bring the accounting thing into it. You start off with a little bit, but the more you do of it, the more you invest, the greater the return.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm with you. Here's the thing though. We hire a photographer or we go and build out a sales funnel or we write some systems or we hire a staff member. There's immediate gratification.
Yes.
Because we've seen past experiences or we've encountered past experiences of, input equals output, right?
That old pattern behavior.
Yeah. And our need for immediate gratification, which I spoke about yesterday on the live series with Warren Bowles, is around like how we've been preconditioned, like from school, for immediate gratification, to do things right, to not make mistakes, to not ask for help, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this whole, I say mindset thing, we call it the inner game. It's like we don't necessarily have, before we really dive into it, and even after diving into it, it's sometimes hard to see the progress you're making because you're so in it. You were so into starting to witness and see these past experiences or these aspects of you that don't quite feel nice. These aspects of you where you've showed up being selfish or a bit greedy or a bit shut down or a bit defensive or a bit judgmental. And we can often get caught up trying to be in the movie rather than witnessing the movie.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
And therefore, it's unknown. Now, part of our pre-existing patterning from the critter neurology, right, is anything that's unknown is automatically deemed as unsafe, unsurvivable.
Yes.
So working on yourself and your mindset is perceived automatically unsurvivable. We haven't had a past experience of it until, like we spoke about, like you've been doing this for a while. You can now see, all that like pain or breakup equals breakthrough. I've got enough experiences now where that's survivable. I can lean into it more. But the first time you had that first breakup, right, your whole world fell apart. The first time you failed, everything fell apart.
Yeah.
And so the only way to get here or to get there is to realize it's part of the journey and fucking lean into it, right?
It's about setting a new precedent.
Tell me more. I like that.
Ooh, sorry, all the legal and accounting stuff coming in. Look at us go.
Big words on me. I don't understand them, but use them anyway.
I love you, Barry. It is about that. Well, everything you've just said is about behavior, and that, essentially our brain is just, it's all based on patterns. So if we do something, then because we've experienced this result in the past, then it kind of sets the precedent, right, for everything. But when we start to change the behavior or the pattern and we experience a new outcome, all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a 2.0 experience developed here. It's the whole X-Men, we've mutated.
I was just remembering like the studies that they've done with mice and things like that, where they've conditioned them, and Pavlov's dog they talk about in NLP with the chiming of the dog bowl and things like that. It's like, you don't have to look too far to realize how conditioned we are.
Yes.
I think realization, first of all, having the knowing can cause you to start to question those patterns, because for many people, myself included, we've grown up in a world where we just stop questioning things. It's like, we know the sun comes up in the morning and it goes down in the evening. We know that some days it rains and some days it's sunny. We know all these different things and we stop questioning things. look at what COVID-19 and the Black Lives Matter has done.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of perceived conspiracy theories. Now look up what conspiracy actually stands for in the dictionary. Because what we're seeing is what's always
let me Google.
Google and give me that. What we're seeing is, to a degree, what's always been there. The Black Lives Matter, this stuff's been going on. It just hasn't been front of mind for us. It hasn't been blasted across social media. So it's very easy for us to live in our bubble and to wake up and to jump in our bubble car and to drive to our bubble office and, you know, eat our bubble lunch and all this other stuff and not realize that there's a whole other world outside of our perceptions and our belief of reality.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I'm going to tie that back to something you started this entire conversation out with. Entrepreneurial poverty.
Yeah.
Because when we're in that, and even a job, we can be stuck in poverty. You're in survival mode. So it's we put ourselves last because everything that's when survival, and I know you got in lockdown or something. Like, was it for how long, a week or something?
I got locked up in Balinese immigration about 5 weeks ago. I talk about it in the preface of the book. It was pretty heavy.
There you go. Survival mode. Like, that's full on. So when you're in that mode, it's kind of like, oh, I can't think about anything else. So for entrepreneurs and people that are growing businesses, the biggest thing that we've got to do is get out of that. So if your cash flow is down the tube, you got to fix it, right? So that then you've got the space to breathe, to go, right, I need to actually start looking at this other stuff. And that's when you've got the space to breathe. And that's when you've got the space to think about, there's a whole other reality that I'm not even aware of. And it's like that one step gives you the level playing field to actually, you know, wake up, dare I say, have the red pill.
Awareness.
Yeah. And there's people trapped in poverty, not just financial, but emotional poverty. There's, you know, I think you and I could talk for hours on this stuff, but it's breaking free of that cycle. Now, here's the thing. We are lucky in the part of the world and environment that we're in that we have the freedom and the ability to do that. So more now than ever, especially for any of you that are watching, if this is you and you've got an opportunity and a dream that you want to actually go out there and make a difference, grab it like both hands. Now, don't let the opportunity just pass you by because you're blessed and so lucky just to have that opportunity. Once you get to that and then you move into this, okay, now I can actually start to live and really see the world and experience life and all the beauty that it has. Sure, there's some ugly stuff there, and we've seen a lot of that with all the stuff that you just spoke about. But you actually have the platform to start to be real and be alive. Ooh, it's getting all D&M then.
Yeah, what I feel is really important, and fantastic share, thank you. What I feel is really important is awareness.
Yeah, agree.
Awareness that both exist. And this is what I've noticed over the last 6 months. You had business owners, not business owners, like humans in general, that were denying the events of the world were happening. You had others that were consumed by the events of the world that were happening. And then you had others that were aware of both sides and consciously chose how to navigate through it. That's the difference. If you're wearing this cloak or this cloak, it's like that's tainting your perception of reality. We don't see the world the way the world is. We see the world the way that we are. And whatever we try to control controls us. And it's only through seeing both sides of the coin, both sides of experience, can we then actually consciously navigate our way through. And that's in everything. Like anytime a friend or a client or a coach has a conversation and I've got this big thing happening, this big adversity, the first thing I start to dive into is what the other side of that coin looks like. Because we only see it as challenge and adversity because we're stuck as seeing it as challenge and adversity. Yet opportunity exists in crisis and crisis in opportunity. They're always there. And the moment we can see both, we're no longer, like you talked about, we're no longer trapped. We're no longer trapped. We have a conscious awareness of which way to move forward.
Agree.
Based on what we want to choose to feel about it, rather than unconsciously feeling it because we've just seen it from one side of view.
Beautiful. That's a logical way to look at it, but also very human and real.
Mm.
And, you know, it gets back to, this is what business is about. As much as we talk about money and much as we talk about, you know, all of that stuff, it is about being human. It's about actually making choices. How are we going to walk along our own journey, being responsible, taking ownership?
Yeah. I think owning your own business and being an entrepreneur is, and it's the same with artists. They own their own business too, right? Like, I think that's the greatest level of self-expression we can have in our human experience. Like, not sure what yours or other people's spiritual or religious beliefs are, but, you know, I talk about in chapter 14 of my book around my beliefs around entrepreneurship and how our ability to truly connect with what it is to be an entrepreneur is our ability to truly connect to be what it is to be ourselves, fully expressed and unaccompanied by anything else, by any past realities, past belief systems, social networks, social norms, social environments, to be fully expressed through a business. And I think that is the core of building a fulfilling and purpose-driven business.
It's about just being you, accepting that you are enough. And I know I'm going to share here again. I mean, I've struggled with, and I know for many women that are watching this, I know what I'm going to say is going to resonate, but with self-esteem, because I felt that I wasn't good enough, or that I didn't look a particular way, or I didn't speak a certain way, all this social conditioning. And it's like, it's sad because often women, I'm sure men are in the same boat. We go along this journey and we finally get to, you know, I'll be 50 this year, but I'll get to this point in time and you go, oh, hey, I'm actually okay. And all of a sudden you come alive and you just come into the greatness of who you are. And, you know, I wished that I had actually said that, you know, could say that to my younger self. But that's when the magic really happens. That's when you start to live. And that's when you really actually start to give value to others. When you step into self-acceptance, use your gifts and talents that have been given to you to go out there and serve others and make a difference. That's when all the magic stuff just, you know, I get so excited about it, because that's when it really happens. And I see that happen with people that I work with all the time. I literally sit there and go, man, is this work?
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
I've got so much like thought bubbles and gold dropping through. We're going to answer some questions that come through here from my team. If you're watching this, listening to this, two things, like start a watch party, share this if you're loving it, if you're enjoying it. Start
watch
a watch
party. Yeah.
Share it with your friends and family and those that might need to hear something from this as well. Be the person that gives them the opportunity to learn something new and I guess start to transform their beliefs. And if you've got a question, please type it in. We'd love to answer them all. Tying into what you shared, and something that I shared is around like what you try to control controls you. I was having a conversation with a dear friend the other day about relationships, and in the same context, in the context of relationships. And I was
You're doing some great posts on that. Go and look at Barry's posts, like feeds, great posts on that topic. Love it.
Thank you. And I was sharing how I had an experience. It was at start of 2019 around finances. I won't go into detail, but basically I put an experience where I had the opportunity to transform my relationship with money forever, and it has.
Ooh.
And, you know, Tony Robbins shares a similar story in one of his wealth trainings as well around, you know, he went out to buy himself lunch at a buffet. He'd been saving up. He was eating 1 meal a week because he didn't have a lot of money. And he saw this young man walk in, this young kid in a tux with an elderly lady. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm taking my mum out for lunch. Now, Tony was so blown away by this experience that he decided to give this kid all of his money. And it was the only money he had at that point in time. And he said, that was the moment that I was no longer allowing myself to be controlled by money. And I had a very similar situation where I chose to double down on something that I believed in, even though I didn't have the financial capacity at the time, because I just was like, this feels right.
Yep, I get that.
Tony got home, he shares that he got home that night and had a check in his mailbox from a friend that had owed him money for a long time that had been uncontactable. And not only did he get the check, but there was a bonus in there for his patience and to say sorry the same day.
Oh.
He's like, that was the day that I learned to no longer allow money to control me. We've been brought up in a system, you know, it's been ingrained in us from a young age, most of us, right, around this hold that money has over us. Now, coming back to what you just shared, Mel, it's like you've got to this stage now where you feel so joyful and so alive. Like I would emphasize, I've had a similar experience for myself. I could have found that before the money. I could have found that before the business. I could have found that before my time freedom. I could have found that in my childhood had I chosen to love myself, had I chosen to focus more on me and working on me as opposed to trying to fit in and be something I wasn't. Like I spent most of my life trying to be the round peg in a square hole and wondering why I never fit in, but it's because I was constantly trying to be someone I wasn't. The moment I stopped that shit and just started being me, all of a sudden people turned up that were my people, right? Clients, staff, friends,
emotional,
partnerships. My people showed up because I was being me. And that's not because of the money I've earned or created all the time. That's because I've chose to finally step into who I am and who I'm here to be. And no one else in this world can be me. Just as they can't be you, just as they can't be anyone else watching this right now. Like everyone is worthy of being here and having an abundance. Everybody.
You know, Barry, I'm so glad you asked me here today to have this chat. And one of the things I love about your spirit and energy, and I know there's other people around us that are in our sort of arena too that are doing amazing things. And because what we're talking about is real. And I know there's a lot of noise on social media and there's a lot of coaches out there and there's all this rah-rah. Do you know what? That's bullshit. It is not real. The stuff that we've talked about today is real. It's tangible, and every single person has the ability to go on this journey and simply step into being exactly who they are. And you said it in your very last comment, your tribe will show up. Now that's the real stuff.
But you can't find a way trying to fit into someone else's tribe.
Nope.
Right? You'll find the tribe that resonates with you once you start being you and being all of you, not hiding those quirks because you think people don't like it. Maybe the people you've been hanging around with don't like it. They're not your people if they don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get rid of them. Clean out. Do you know, it's one of the first things that I see people that take this step into business is, you know, I say to them, you don't have to go announce it to the world. Just do your thing. Do your thing. There's going to be people and your friends and family won't understand because they're not you. You just got to go be you. And a lot of that holds us back. Absolutely. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh. If anyone's watching has experienced that, comment. I'm serious. We want to know, because tell us where you're at. You do not have to be in that space. You can actually start this journey. As Barry said before, go create a watch party. Get people that need to hear this, that need to go through that journey of going, my idea is great. I am great with who I am. Share this stuff so that more people can get on this journey of self-realization and self-acceptance, so they can go from, you know, living their life to someone else's plan to actually stepping into living life to their own plan.
Absolutely. Like, think about the Wright Brothers. If they had listened to everyone around at the time that said, hey,
perfect example,
create this thing that flies, like, could you imagine the amount of shit that they copped saying, oh, we're gonna build this thing that flies? Like, you know, could you imagine that? And not just them, Edison, like Steve Jobs,
Amelia Earhart, look
right?
at her.
Elon Musk, look at any entrepreneur that's created something. Like, they've had so many people around them say they can't do it and it won't work. It doesn't work. Just because it doesn't exist doesn't mean it won't work. But we will never get there if we spend our life living the beliefs and the paradigms that others have placed upon us.
Talking about old bosses, and I mean, look, I know we're getting to, I can't believe we've talked for an hour. really brought something up for me. When I first joined Xero, obviously the founder of Xero, Rod Drury, you know, he was probably one of the reasons why I stepped into that role, because he's such an inspirational and innovative man. The way he led that company from a startup to a public listed company, there was a reason why we all bought into that vision and that dream, because we believed in what we were doing. He was an amazing leader and empowered his people to actually go out and do what we did. And, that experience, and that was in, a startup corporate in the tech world, really shaped my ability to say, wow, this man is living his dream. He seriously is. Super impactful.
People could feel it's infectious when you're showing up authentically and
Yep.
congruent with who you are. Absolutely. And it inspires others to do the same too. Couple of questions. If you are watching, please hit the like, hit the love button. Let us know that you're there.
Love you too.
Answer a couple of questions. So on here, how did this pandemic bring out the best and worst in terms of integrity and transparency in financial reporting?
Oh, so that's a really, really interesting question. So I'm going to probably speak from what I've seen across, the major sort of Western markets, because that's where my vision has been. I think that there's been actually a massive rush to get actual and real financial reporting in place. A lot of people just haven't been up to date with it, right? They don't know where they're at. So, and they might know in their head where they're at, but they might not have really been paying the attention as to where they really were. So I believe that there's been a massive step up with integrity around financial reporting, because for two reasons. One, people needed to know exactly their position, but also they needed to, a lot of the time they were submitting for stimulus package support.
Yeah.
And, you're going to get audited for that stuff, right? It's got to be real. You've got to be on the ball. Yeah. So I think there's definitely been a massive step up for people being responsible. And as a byproduct of that, obviously my profession of, accountants and bookkeeping is just grown exponentially. But what it's also driven is for business owners to actually understand and see the need for financial education.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mike McChallowich's Profit First. It's never been a better time for that. We love Mike.
You just stole it out of my mouth. I was just about to say, Mel, I'm not sure on your views, but one of the best things that we've ever done for our business and for our client businesses is implement Profit First by Mike McCallowich. Yep. The guy's amazing. Mike, if you're watching this, I know you watch some of my stuff.
We love you, Mike.
We love you. Amazing job. Phenomenal. Grab his book, implement it, and you will not have many of cash flow issues that you've had in the past, because it's just a simplistic way and a very productive and profitable way to be running your books in your business.
Agree.
Absolutely. Next questions, then we'll have to start wrapping it up.
Can't believe an hour's gone. That's just
nearly, yeah. Who and which public source of information to help you make better business decisions?
Well, I wouldn't say go public. Go find an advisor.
Yeah,
because you can't just rely on public information to make financial decisions, because that information doesn't know what your situation or scenario is. So if you're not dialed in with a good accountant, a bookkeeper, a financial advisor, then get dialed in. If you're not sure who to pick, then set up an interview with a few of them and ask the questions, but see what they ask you. A good advisor is always going to ask you this one important thing: where do you want to go and why?
Yes, and why.
Now, if they ask you that, then you know that they are going to be on your side and an advocate for you. So that is absolutely just hands down the best suggestion that I can give around that.
Yeah, I love that. So what I want to share, I guess, in over a couple of minutes is why the Freedom Series. So as we spoke at the start of this, at the start of the year, kind of exited the business last year. The main thing is that
I love that, Barry.
Why that happened? Yeah, why that happened was at the start of 2019. I said to my partner at the time, "Hey, I need to exit the Game Changers. And she said, why? Like, you love it. And I was like, I absolutely love it. I don't want to, but I feel that I need to be congruent with what we offer our clients. Like, how can we offer our clients to build businesses that work without them when I'm in my business? So I'm going to go through the journey that I take my clients through to get there. And we already had the business pretty well set up. It was more so just fine tuning some things and hiring the right integrator. And so December, I stepped out. I decided to move to Bali and write a book for two reasons. One is I wanted to challenge
I'll just
myself.
go to Bali.
Yeah, challenge myself in a way to overcome like further of my beliefs. Like, I started playing guitar. I had a terrible experience trying to learn a musical instrument at school. So I'm like, I'm going to learn to play guitar just to overcome that and further build my belief in myself that I can do anything I put my mind to. But more than that too, is I realized that the game changers, like, we only have a certain capacity to help so many business owners, and the team there, like, we're doing an amazing job in terms of the transformation we create for business owners day in, day out. Like, it's awe-inspiring. Yet the book, we felt, was an opportunity for me to kind of, I guess, encapsulate like 18 years of my experience in business, building multiple companies. I've coached one-on-one for more than 15,000 hours, ran seminars all around the world, and really, like, my hope for anyone that gets a chance to get a copy of this when it goes live, when it launches, is that, you know, you too can build a business that is profitable, purpose-driven, and can work without you. Not because it has to, but until you get your business to a stage where it works without you, you've got a job, and it's a very high-risk job. You know, we were lucky enough during the pandemic that my business worked without me, so I was fully resourced to look in that time for opportunities, to look in that time for how to better serve our clients, because I had my days available to me. And I will also say too, that I wasn't aware of the other opportunities that have opened up for me until I got there. You know, like, I never in a million years thought that the opportunities that I'm playing with now were there prior, because all I could see was my current world. The same thing, our beliefs we spoke about, right?
Yeah.
But once I got there and my level of consciousness, I guess you could say, raised to the area of where I was in business, all of a sudden I started attracting different opportunities, different problems, different people into my environment. And so, you know, like, we're on a massive mission to change entrepreneur poverty throughout the world and help more business owners to scale, grow, and succeed. So, you know, my ask for anyone watching this is, please, like, tag people in that you think needs to watch this, business owners.
Yes.
Share it around your groups. Let us know it resonated, what guests you want us to have on. We're interviewing 60 odd people over the next 8 weeks. Of all different walks of life to bring in different aspects for free into your living room, into your car, onto your phone. So, Mel, I'm super grateful for your time. We could chat forever. But if there is any bookkeepers or accountants or anyone out there that wants to connect with you, because you're amazing at what you do too, like, I know the results you drive for your clients, how can they best find you?
Probably just pop along to the website, melaniepower.com. You can contact me there. I've got a free Facebook group, Command the Price You Deserve, or follow me on Facebook. Send me a friend request. I think I've got room. If not, just follow me and we'll connect easiest way. If you Google me, you'll find heaps of stuff from my 0 days to some fun, really early videos with Rod Drury. It's all fun stuff, all part of the journey.
Excellent. Fantastic. So that's how you can find Mel. We have got one more question we're going to answer. I'm going to slip it in. I want to get them all done. And equally too, if you want to be kept up to date with the release of the book, my team will drop a link in the different channels that we're on right now, and you can jump in and subscribe just to stay up to date with the live series we're doing and who's guesting. And also when we release the book, we've got some amazing and insane bonuses when we release it, both through our site and through Amazon.
Love it.
Of August. But last question to wrap us up, Mel, and this one's over to you. What advice, I've got two questions actually, one for me and one for this person. What advice can you give people who struggle with self-esteem and self-worth?
Oh, okay. How do I sum this up? I think that it actually starts about choosing to actually take action daily to affirm yourself. So that if you're not feeling good about yourself, you can choose to say, and it's, I daily affirmations, my whiteboard is here. I actually still do them. Things like, I am beautiful. I am a leader. I am worthy. I can do this. When you actually stand in front of affirmations like that and you speak them aloud and you go, you just step into belief that you are that. When you do that every day, that is your reality. And then it gets back to what you were saying before, Barry, that then the pattern starts to change. You start to change. It's like a lot of people say, you know, even my own mentors and coaches have said, you go from being version, you know, Mel Power 1.0 to Mel Power 2.0, and it keeps evolving. But it all starts with you and your choice to actually just do one thing, that one simple thing, and keep doing it.
Consistently. Yeah, that's the most important thing. I think, again, with the entrepreneur personality type is typically we tend to not be the most consistent people in the world. It's a generalization. But in this sort of thing, what you shared about, like just consistently, it's not a matter of going and like listening to every Tony Robbins and, you know, Eckhart Tolle's CD you can put your hands on. Like just start with something, but just consistently, and it will build on itself and build on itself and build on itself. Yeah. Last question for me, Mel, you kind of alluded to it before, but I like to ask all of my guests this. If you were having a conversation with a younger version of you, a 10-year-old version of you, knowing all that you know now and knowing that she probably wouldn't listen anyway, but that's okay. What advice would you give her? What advice would you give a 10-year-old version of you?
Let your hair grow long. Run barefoot through the grass, ride more horses and play more music, and sing till you no longer have breath.
Wow, I love that. Grow your hair long, run barefoot through the grasses.
Ride more horses, play music, and sing till you no longer have any breath. Live.
Mel Power, I'm so grateful and appreciative. You've been amazing. We'll bang all your links in the comments below. Again, if you love this, like this, let us know. Give us your feedback. We're here for you guys and to serve you in the best way.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Barry. I've just so enjoyed catching up. It's been wonderful. Thank you for what you're doing for this series, and thank you for taking a whole group of us and going out there and helping others and serving others. We've so got this.
Got this. Thank you.
Even Siri agrees. She said no sweat.
Thanks everyone for joining. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Game Changers podcast. There's a couple of things I'd love you to do to help us and help yourself to spread the message further. Make sure that you like the Game Changers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Please subscribe by clicking the link below to ensure that you keep up to date with the weekly episodes we share here at the Game Changers podcast with amazing entrepreneurs and business owners around the world. And of course, like if you're in a position where you may be overwhelmed with business or looking for a way to grow faster, more effectively, and you realize that the key to success is being surrounded by amazing people who have been there and done that before, I'd like to invite you to apply to have a game plan session one-on-one with one of my team here at the Game Changers. There's no cost if you get through. All that we ask is that you are doing a minimum of $250,000 per year to really be able to utilize the strategies and the tactics and the mindset shifts that we share with you, that you're coachable, that you're a decent person, and you're willing to take on board some advice. If not, that's totally cool. But I know for me, I wouldn't be where I am right now without the support of so many mentors and coaches and resources along the way. And I'd like to pay that forward and give back to you the opportunity to work with us one-on-one for free to put together a customized game plan. And the reason we're doing this is a couple of things. Number one is that sometimes it's just the smallest thing that can make the biggest difference. And I think that entrepreneurs and business owners have the opportunity to change the world. And if we can maybe help you to make the smallest shift to change your life and your world, you're changing ours in return. The second thing is that we are always looking for amazing clients to work with and to welcome into and invite into the Game Changers community. And so if at the end of the call, you do feel that there's a huge amount of value there, that we feel that there's a great values fit there, we can have a conversation about working together. But this game plan call, there's absolutely no obligations to work with whatsoever. Allow us to help you with the years and years and years of knowledge that we have in growing and scaling great companies. And I think that business owners are the future of the world. If there's a way that we can help you to create a better business, more profit, more fulfillment, more fun, I would love the opportunity to do that now. So click the link below, book your game plan session, make sure you follow us on social, and start today with the latest episodes of the Game Changers podcast. My name's Barry William McGlitty. Thank you so much for your support and look forward to seeing you next one. Bye for now.